Hello and welcome back to Matterley Basin in Winchester, or just outside of Winchester in the south of England, in Hampshire. My name's Paul Malin. I'm joined by Jeff Perrett, a guy who lives not too far away from here, a former British Championship and Grand Prix racer, and owns a website MX85cc.com.
Yeah, MX85cc.com. I don't own it, but I'm the editor of it, so it's a new British site, getting behind British motocross, and we've got a British interest in this race, one only.
Yeah,
Conrad Muse.
Exactly, 85cc European Championship on the line here. Race one of two. Their second one is tomorrow. As you sit back and enjoy the beautiful surroundings of this very historic town, or city I should say, Winchester, with the cathedral there right in the heart of it. And the people down here very, very friendly, but not the first time we've been here. It is, though, for this festival weekend of motocross. 4 days of action going from Thursday right through till tomorrow with 65s. We just saw them a moment ago. 85s and next. We've got 125 and 250 European. We've got the Women's World Championship, the Vets, the MX3 and MX1 and MX2 on what is a bumper weekend of off-road action here in the south of England. Well, my name's Paul Malin. As I said, Jeff Perrett alongside me here. Jeff, the 65s were out on the track a moment ago. We'll get to the 85s in a moment. Not an easy place to come and ride a 65cc, is it?
No, it really isn't. But to their credit, like I said, this is the future right there. And the moves they got, the style they've got, that's the one thing I've really noticed over the last 5 years is they pick up the habits so much quicker at an early age. I think that might be the internet. They study the videos, they get the moves, and they really have got the moves. They're scrubbing the jumps, their style's immaculate. They really are a pleasure to watch, you know, and long may that continue.
And you hit on the nail there. The internet has, you know, for all its good and bad and everything else out there in the world, in whichever way you want to look at it, in terms of developing the talents of these young riders, athletes all over the world, whether they're motocross or road race or go-kart or whatever sport they're in, golf if they want. There's so many videos out there now when you look in the right places. Obviously, your website, MX85cc.com. I'm sure you run videos on there and everything else.
Yeah, we sure do, yeah.
Then you see the super slow-mo and you see the guys scrubbing and coming up with new techniques. And the kids do study that, don't they? Because they don't get the opportunity to come and watch the world round. And here they are competing on the world stage, basically supporting the very, very best riders in the world, and they can see it for real this weekend.
Definitely. I think, I don't know if it's because we're getting older or what, but it certainly feels like it's becoming more of a young man's sport as well, you know. I mean, people kind of pick, you know, our generation, you peaked around your mid-20s and all that. Of course, then, you know, the likes of Tortelli came along, and since then we've had, you know, young world champions, and they just seem to be getting younger all the time. So, and you can tell by what we're watching at the minute, just, you know,
Brian Moreau, the French kid, qualified second yesterday. Didn't have a good ride, though. He crashed on the first lap, finished in 7th. That was in the 65 race. But obviously, these guys here, Stefan Everts on the right, 10-time world champion, Tony Cairoli, 5-time world champion, going for title number 6, obviously looking on just to see where the next talent is coming from. Of course, they'll be long gone by the time they get to the top level, but it's just nice to see them, isn't it? Here's what happened in 65 race 1, though. The gate did drop, and the 237 there up the inside. He was our eventual race winner. That was Zilian Romella of Switzerland, held a tight line. Didn't make the best jump, though. Front, though, early on, it was 211. That was René Hofer from Austria. But it wasn't long, though, before Romella found his way chasing and challenging for the lead, and it was in a couple of corners' time. He started working the magic through the off-cambers just after the pit lane area, and then coming out of, turn 5 at the top of the hill, decided to rail around the outside. Hofer took the inside, jumped it short, and look at that. The 65's on the gas, and, well, that was it, 237. Romella was away, and he won quite comfortably in the end from René Hofer, the Austrian, in that second position. Third, though, was Timur Petroshin, and he was pretty shy in his words on the podium just afterwards, but this was a moment, and what a celebration it was as well. Big panic revs and big fist pumps as well. Look at that. And Jeff Perrett.
He's doing the funky chicken there, isn't he? I never saw that pass, by the way. I was walking up it. That was incredible. I mean, that's a big jump.
That is a big jump.
For a big bike, but to launch himself down the hill. They are so talented. It's brilliant.
And good to see them here as well. Of course, they've got their second race tomorrow. Right, that flag there says it all, doesn't it? Conrad Muse, number 426. He's next in this, well, this festival, the second race of the weekend here. First race for European MX Championship action. the 85s, and in the qualifying race, Conrad Muse really did set the place alight, didn't he, yesterday? Winning in the end by 11.5 seconds over the Dutch kid, Davy Puches, and David Herbetro, who was in second for a while, but then just lost the rear end coming out of one of the turns over here. There is Conrad Muse from Shepton Mallet, just down the road, geographically speaking. 13 years old, under the watch for life, Justin Morris, former British and World Championship rider, Jeff Perrett. If all goes to plan this weekend, I'm sure already, even at the tender age of 13, he's going to be on a lot of people's shopping list, isn't he? Because they do start to sign him young these days.
They really do. I think Conrad is a name that's been on the radar some time anyway. And, of course, you know, when they get to this level, it's like they're there on the big scene. And it's a big test to see how they cope with that, even at this young age, you know. But so far, he has handled it exceptionally well. You know, he was quickest again in warm-up this morning. We've both ridden home GPs, but not at that age. And yesterday, even so, the people that were talking about him and cheering him on, hopefully, it do the business and it'll set a precedent for all the British riders this weekend.
Yeah. Filippo Zonto, he had a fall yesterday, but managed to come home in 6th place in the qualifying race, which, as we said a moment ago, Conrad Muse was the winner there. Davy Puches was second. We saw him a moment ago. David Herbetro, 285, the Rockstar Bud Racing Kawasaki rider. Maybe we'll pick him up in a moment. Bud Rockstar Racing Kawasaki, the riders in that team at the moment in MX2. Valentin Tellier and Dylan Ferrandis, the rookie in MX2. But under the watchful eye, more importantly, Jackie Vimond, who's coached, was world champion himself, has coached his fair share of world championship winners and Grand Prix winners, Supercross winners and that kind of thing, and another kid to look out for.
I think, yeah, actually, this whole championship, I think, is really starting to light up now, because I think manufacturers and the industry are really starting to realise that they've got to get these kids on a programme earlier on. Our sport's changing a little bit more, getting a bit more advanced like that now. So I think you'll see a lot more of these kids signed up to long-term contracts a lot earlier, I think.
And I'm not going to spoil it in terms of the wow factor, but these kids really are something special in terms of the way they ride this circuit. You know, I was stood up on the top of the Monster Energy Station yesterday, right on the finish line area. This is how they finished in the qualifying race yesterday, so that's how they go to the line for their first race and the second race, which will be tomorrow, of course. And there are a lot of oohs and ahs and wows and no ways coming out of the mouths of the people who had not seen the practice and the time training and just arrived for the qualifying race. And I think the viewers at home who are tuning in, watching this today live on Motors TV, because it's all weekend we've got motocross action on the TV, on a prime channel, a sports channel.
That's amazing.
And it's amazing with the 65s, the 85s, an ideal platform for them just to show their wares and put themselves in the shop window.
Yeah, I mean, I've literally just come back from a press conference in the press room, and Ustream announcing that they really want to make this the benchmark, and this festival grow it every year. So that sounds great for British fans. It looks like we might be getting this kind of motocross festival every year.
Yeah, in fact, pretty much immediately after this race on MX Live TV, so you online viewers, 1 o'clock to 1:30, I've got the Ustream president, Mr. Giuseppe Longo, and the director of the FIA Motocross Commission, Dr. Wolfgang Schrupp. They're going to be joining me, as well as in the second part of the show, Eric Gabors. Gabors will be talking about the upcoming Motocross of Nations at Lommel, which is going to be a great event anyway. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about that during the race. But more importantly, the two guys I just mentioned a moment ago, Giuseppe Luongo and Dr. Wolfgang Schrupp, obviously they're going to talk in more detail about this event and everything else and how to grow that. So obviously people at home not able to go into that press conference.
Yeah, well, you'll hear it then. So it's good stuff.
Anyway, 15-second board goes up. The yellow sleeve there, the Fox shirt, the yellow, black and grey. Conrad Muse has, well, he's looking to turn that qualifying race win into a victory in this first 85cc race. A 20-minute plus 2-lap race, 25 minutes for these kids. And the gate drops, and Muse gets a decent start. The 13-year-old, there he is, and he sweeps into the lead yet again.
Oh,
Puches,
awesome.
and Puches around the outside there, or maybe that was I think it was the other, is it Pavel, or maybe, or Prado, sorry, maybe, as Ivanov goes out, number 97.
I'll tell you right now, it's going to be very difficult for me not to be biased. Not because that Conrad's just British, because I'm looking at the names of these riders.
Oh, the 200 goes over the handlebars. Sorry about that. That's Filippo Zonta. Go on, Jeff.
Yeah, just because of the some of the pronunciation on these names, I think I might just try to... I'll leave them to you. You're the expert.
Thank you, sir. But up the hill, already making his way clear. The 426 there on the KTM. Conrad Muse, the crowd really got behind him yesterday.
Oh, they were loving it. Like I said, if Conrad can bring this one home and set the tone for the whole weekend.
Same guys in the top three as they were yesterday. David Puches and David Herbertrop, the Bud Rockstar Racing Kawasaki rider, in third. And these kids have never, especially Conrad Muse, the way that the crowd are getting behind them here at the moment, you know, lining the fencing, and say they are drip feeding their way in anticipation of MX1 and MX2. But, you know, they are going to be cheering this kid on. He's never going to experience, and these kids are going to experience anything like this, are they?
This is an absolute first for Conrad, no question. You know, he's raced European Championships, he's raced big events, but nothing like this, where he's got the whole crowd behind him. So it's a big thing. You know, like I said, once you've experienced racing a British GP, it really is something special. But at this age, to try and take that on board and not... But then having said that, when you're that age, some things just go over your head. You're just so aloof of it, you know. So maybe that's what's probably happening with Conrad right now. Maybe he's not nervous at all.
Well, he's just got so used to winning, hasn't he? Right from 65s, you know, autos right the way through. And, I mean, for the viewers who are watching in England and know the circuits, Apex motocross track in Worcester, just on the junction 6 of the M5, south of Birmingham. There's some pretty big jumps over there, and there's a big step up coming out of one of the left-handers pretty soon after you get on the track. And I was up there riding, I was doing a motocross school up there last year, and somebody said, yeah, even Conrad Muse gets over that on his 85. I'm like, really? And that is nailed in like fourth or fifth gear on one of these things. But you can see the guys in the finish there in the background getting over the double jumps, and Conrad Muse, if you've been watching him on this first lap, and Davey Puches, look at this, Muse. Ooh. Oh, it's Puches.
Oh, he held it well.
He did hold it well. Already starting to break free, actually. I'm quite surprised that. 4.5 seconds over Davey Herbertrop, the Kawasaki rider. Fourth is Jorgi Prado, another good kid to watch. He's only 12 years old. So these kids doing all the downhill steps. You watch this now. Muse, he'll launch his way. So will Puches on the uphill step here. Pretty much all the 85s getting down the big step. It's about 20 metres on its own, isn't it?
It is. And another thing about Matterley Basin that TV does not do this justice. This place is massive.
Yeah.
It's such a big area. And then when you actually get trackside, when you're stood way back, the jumps don't look that big. When you get alongside them, they are huge. They're massive.
Yeah, especially when you stand at this point here and see the distance they're getting over that uphill triple again, at about 20, 22 metres, something like that. The kids are absolutely nailed in fifth gear. As soon as they land on the downside in the opposite direction, even to get the triple single
here.
That's
a huge jump. That whole section, that downhill triple there up into that uphill quad. I was stood there this morning watching MX1. They were just so high, so far.
I mean, even the wave section, it's pretty technical to go through there anyway. These kids, here's Herbertrop, just going through in third.
He's a super stylish kid, isn't he? I think he looks the part.
Brian Hsu, the Taiwanese guy, just there on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki machine. A very, very fast kid. Of course, we've got a Grand Prix in Thailand next year. Again, we're going to be talking to Giuseppe Longo about that in our TV show.
That goes to show how they're getting behind him. Like I said, already, young kid signing for Rockstar Suzuki and a kid from Thailand. That's how serious they are to try and find the future talent.
Yeah, I remember 15 years ago, 16 years ago, something like that, when we used to go to Indonesia for the Grand Prix. The Taiwanese riders would come over, the Indonesian riders, and obviously they weren't as advanced in their abilities and everything else. But Brian Hsu there in fifth position on that Rockstar Energy Suzuki. Didn't have a great race yesterday in the qualifying, but where it matters, obviously they're in the top 5 at the moment.
Yeah, he binned it yesterday early on, but he got back up and sort of came through the pack pretty well. So
yeah, that was the 200 going over.
Two Italian Federation guys. That's a good thing that the Italian Federation are doing as well. They've selected a few riders and get behind them. Hopefully we can get something like that going in the UK eventually. That would be really nice. I know we've tried many times, but need to take a leaf out of the Italian Federation now, I think.
And them and the French do it very, very well.
Really well, yeah.
And Christian Ravaglia, former Grand Prix rider, factory KTM, factory Husqvarna rider, Husqvarna, I think, not KTM. Behind that now, of course, before it was Corrado Maddy, who should have been a world champion in 125 in 84, I think he was, or 82. But there's big Ken Didika, another MX1 star.
I wonder if they grow up as big as Ken.
Well, his 450 looks like he's riding one of these 85s anyway, doesn't it? But Conrad Muse, though, that gap, 3.6 seconds, fastest lap of the race, look, 2:15.5. Compared to the 2:17.6. He's already got 3.6 seconds over Davey Puches of the Netherlands. Davey Herbertrop, another 5 seconds further back. You'll see him come down the hill any moment now on the black Rockstar Bud Racing Kawasaki. Then we've got Brian Hsu now up in the 4th place from Thailand on the Rockstar Energy Suzuki. Jorge Prado now down in 5th position, the 261, the Spanish rider. Then we've got Thomas Silieca, Lorenzo Camporese, the 740 of Christos Dreveniskis of Latvia. Then we have 488. Well, that's Thilo Wittelbaumer of Germany. Takes up the whole of the...
That's a good name, though. I'm liking that.
Wittelbaumer.
That's a good one, yeah. He's my favourite so far.
Alessandro Lentini down in 10th. And then we've got Adrian Malaval, Tamor Talviku and Nick Skora. Ivan Petrov and Miro Seihoven down in 15th. No more.
You're doing exceptionally well with that.
Thank you very much.
I like the guy in 20th, Joey Rock.
Joey Rock.
He sounds cool. He should be a WWE wrestler.
Like the Steve Stone Cold Silver.
Yeah, Stone Cold Silver, yeah.
Well, we've already got a Rock in the wrestling. We used to. He's an actor now.
That's right.
But just over 13 minutes plus 2. Here's David Herbetrow under the watchful eye of the Bud Rockstar Racing Kawasaki squad, Jackie Vimon. But look at that. Brian Hsu all over the back of him from Thailand. I spend quite a lot of time talking to the likes of Jens Johansson and Thomas Ramsbacher from the Rockstar Suzuki crew. And they do emphasise on a regular basis the importance of going down into 85, maybe even 65 to find the next future stars. They've got a good kid in 125, Jorge Zaragoza, who broke his wrist at the beginning of the year and he's missed a lot of action. But, you know, hopefully this weekend we'll get to see a glimpse of the brilliance of that kid that has to offer. But
I think everybody should really take credit, not just the teams, obviously what FIM are trying to do and Ustream. It's nothing relatively new, you know. I think the program has always kind of been like that in America, and it's seen its work, and credit to everybody over here for now, you know, actually trying to emulate that, if not do it better.
Yeah.
So hopefully these kids will come through and secure the, you know,
this is
push the sport forward.
This is Jorge Prado and Thomas Sileka challenging and battling each other for what, 5th position. Prado on the KTM just taking a nervous look over his shoulder as the 731 of Thomas Sileka, the Latvian, on the KTM. A little bit more variety in choice of engines this time and machinery. KTM, Suzuki. Only KTM's in the 65.
Yeah,
but no Kawasaki's.
No, there's one Kawasaki.
Yeah,
that's it. He's the only one. Of course, there's no Hondas. They've gone down the 150 4-stroke route, which Ustream and FIM feel are not the way forward in this class. So no Honda riders out there. So I don't know how they're going to work their program to get young talent through, and they might have to.
In fact, I think Herbetrow is actually riding the KTM. I think it's. I remember Vimon telling me just for what it is and everything else. He's under the team umbrella, and that was a while ago when I met him. Met the kid actually. He's 14 at Saint-Jean d'Angely. Right, Conrad Muse has just been overtaken, has he, by 446, David Puches.
He has. Has Conrad got a flat? He looked, I don't know, just seemed to be going a little bit sort of spinning up out of the vlog, maybe a rear puncher.
So Puches then of the Netherlands.
No, doesn't look like it. Maybe he's just made a mistake.
And just lost it. Oh, he's not jumping.
Yeah, something's gone wrong. I can't believe he wouldn't jump that unless he's got an issue. 2:23
his lap time compared to 2:18, so losing a lot of time. But the Dutch and the KTM crews hanging over pit lane. I mean, even that is an experience for the kids, isn't it?
Amazing,
going by pit lane and 197 coming in. Matija Kalava, Croatia.
In pain by the looks of it. Or Shane, one of the two.
I'm Paul Malin, Jeff Perrett alongside me from MXvice.com. 303 going out of 15th, Nick Skora. There, just a moment ago, managing to pick himself up, but did lose a couple of positions. Jeff Perrett, I mean, we can't emphasise enough, can we? How TV doesn't do this place justice. You need to be here to see how they're not the steepest of hills, but they are long, and the jumps that actually launch down here, you are going high and far as the ground's falling away, aren't you? Yeah,
like I said earlier, it really is deceiving, this place. It's massive. It's a massive venue, and there's like a good turnout of people again today, you know, on a Saturday, but it doesn't look like there's many people here, and yet because the venue is just so big, the straights are longer than you think.
News being done there by Brian Hsu, so David Herbetrow's gone through, so obviously a problem then with Conrad Muse.
Gutter.
But he won't give up, will he?
Oh, he won't give up, but not at all, but it's a real shame for him. You know, unless he's tweaked something himself. You know, he's hurt something, or he's got a bike issue. I'm suspecting it's a bike issue of some form.
Well, that'll be a shame, because obviously if he drops too far down the order, obviously Jorge Prado here and Thomas Silieka, who's just behind there in 6th position, he starts losing too many positions, the chance for the overall win. And what this is going to be for the European Championship in effect, isn't it? Because the way they've done it is they've colonised them also, almost Northern Europe, Southern, East and Western Europe. The top 10 from those regions, they've come together for this European Championship shootout. And at the moment, this first race belonging to Davy Puches of the Netherlands, and Conrad Muse, I feel like he's been robbed at the moment.
Definitely. Yeah. It's definitely. I don't think it's anything to do with Conrad. It doesn't look like he. Well, it might be. He might have jarred his wrist or his ankle or something, but he's not jumping the jumps.
No.
So it's either maybe he's got like an electrical fault or something like that, or like we said, a puncture. It doesn't look like he's got a puncture,
no.
but anything like that, because they are maxed out doing these jumps, and you can't have anything in the back of your mind going off them, but knowing that the bike's not 100%.
I mean, in terms of their lap times, 2 minutes and 17, Davy Puches. Fastest lap, though, 2:15 for Conrad Muse in this race. Chiara Fontanesi in free practice was a 2:04 and a 2:03 in her pre-qualifying. So just to give you some idea, you know, they're not that far off the pace, are they, of the women?
Not at all. You know, obviously on a bike with half a cc, so, you know, and 2-stroke as well, because obviously, as we know, the power delivery of a 4-stroke just does make it that little bit easier to get traction down.
Well, here's Herbertro, and there, the number 481, Brian Hsu. So we have got a Grand Prix in Thailand next year, the very first round, around March the 10th, I think it is, on the provisional calendar. And obviously, if there is a support class, or I don't know, I don't even know how old this kid is, but I can't imagine him riding in an MX2 category as a wild card, but you know, he's got plenty of time to worry about all of that. But I was talking to Phil Mercer, Factory Phil Mercer, and while we all agree that this is a great platform to, you know, for the riders to be on and to perform on, Jeff Perrett, his concern is, you know, while it's all very good, the age that these kids are being recognised and the work that they're putting in earlier, he thinks there might be the possibility that they could then have burnout a little bit sooner. But it depends on the rider, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it does depend on the rider, but it's also, there is, you know, validity to what he's saying with that. I think, you know, you now look at the top pros, they do tend to hang up their boots a little bit earlier. Well, some do. Yeah. Carmichael, don't know. I mean, okay, he won 10 AMA titles to whatever, or well, 15.
In 10 years or whatever, was it?
And then retired, you know, 2 or 3 years before hitting 30. But and others, you know, like Josh Coppins, obviously, you know, came into it, probably riding from this age, but it didn't click for him until around in the sort of mid-20s. And then he went, you know, way past his 30s. So I don't know, I think he might be right. It's just how each individual rider...
But to be honest, even if they're not on this platform, these guys are still going to be pushing this pace anyway, aren't they? So even without this recognition, until they get to at least 125 or 250 European, they're going to be riding at this level. And, you know, so I know what you're saying, there is a bit of validity, but at the same time, it kind of...
It's that balance, I guess, you know, the pressure of trying to... for them to still have a normal childhood, I guess, you know, the best they can without the pressures of racing, but the development still needs to go into it. But you've got to find a fine balance where it's not, they don't turn into these, how we put it, corporate machines too early. You know, they still got to behave like kids, and otherwise, you know, maybe unless they're willing to sacrifice that, I don't know. That's their decision, I guess. But it all comes down to how much they want it, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, up front, Davy Puches, 7 seconds clear of David Herbertro. We just saw him a moment ago, shaking off the challenge from Brian Hsu, the Taiwan from Thailand, sorry, in 3rd position. Conrad Muse has dropped down to 6th place. He's got 8 seconds advantage though over the 284, which is Lorenzo Camporese of Italia, or Italy, I should say. Falling into my foreign English there.
Yeah, you're doing it great.
And yeah, Jorge Prado still there in 4th is the Spaniard. Thomas Silieka is 5th. Conrad Muse, as we said a moment ago, down in 6th. This is Prado here on the orange KTM. Silieka just behind him, 7:31 of Latvia. And again, Latvia, how much do we owe this kid, you know, getting a result here to being in Latvia for a Grand Prix since 2009?
Arguably, you could say, you know, inspires, you know, going off the back of what we just had with the Olympics and all this kind of stuff about inspiring a generation. Go into these countries that traditionally, certainly when you and I were racing, wasn't on the calendar so much. You know, the Eastern European, there was a few, but not as many as there are now. And you know, and they get one or two riders riding in the GPs, they become their hero, they want to emulate what they do, and then before you know it, you've got a whole crop of them coming through. So I think there's a lot to be said in that, yeah.
Well, obviously in the MX1 and MX2 you've got Robert and August just riding for the Honda Latvia Elksny squad. Literally live a stone's throw just the other side of the river from Keggins, the circuit where we were just a few rounds ago. But I wonder if he'll end up joining a team like that, or again, you know, putting himself in that little shop window, because
he could well do that. I mean, you've also got, you know, maybe they have government funding like that over there. Who knows, you know? I mean, some countries are more susceptible to motorsports than we are in the UK. Yeah. You know, I'm still longing and praying that we maybe one day get lottery funding or something like that, but I think that's still a long shot away, you know.
And they do hire a lot of money into sports, particularly football. In Derbyshire, just I think it's Burton-on-Trent. Is it like 100 million the FA have spent on a football development centre recently in the UK?
Just 1% of that would be great.
Well, that battle there for fourth position. Prado lost out a moment ago, but Silieka has lost it himself at the bottom of the hill. So this one not done yet.
No, they're having a good tear up.
And the track in great condition, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I was down in the infield there, just actually stood by this jump they're going to go over now earlier on, talking with Johnny Douglas Hamilton, who designed the track, and then of course Greg Atkins was down there from Ustream, and Justin Barkley. So the whole team were down there, and they were sort of saying how it's holding up pretty well. And the weather this morning was kind of overcast, so it wasn't drying up. They didn't feel they needed to water it as heavily as maybe they thought they were going to, but it is holding up great, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously tomorrow we're good sunshine and a bit of a breeze as well. So in terms of keeping the track in perfect condition, the crew, while they will have it all under control, that's almost the nightmare for them, isn't it? You know, warm conditions, windy conditions. As soon as the water's on, it starts to evaporate pretty quickly. So they're going to be on top of their game tomorrow.
And it's a motocross festival with far more racing, so they've really got their work cut out, because they don't get the opportunity to get out and prep the circuit as much as they'd like. So when they do get the opportunity, they really have got to get it right.
Well, Jorge Prado here, 261, a junior Red Bull KTM rider, looking like he's got the full Alpine Star apparel on and all the rest of it. And in fact, has he got the logo on the shirt? I think he has, but he's just lost out there to Thomas Silieka. So Silieka goes up into fourth position, and Prado can't get over the finish line double jump, so that's going to cost him a little bit of time. So backmarker just getting involved there. Is that the 699 Tamor Talviku? I think that was of Estonia. And that is an expensive mistake there.
The KTM team in force going nuts.
Well, we've got all that to look forward to. We've got the qualifying races live as well on Motors TV this afternoon. Just a quick thought on that. Tommy Searle, Jeff Perrett, had a tough time of it recently. The last couple of races, he got to within 16 points of Jeffrey Hurlings. He's now 57 down after 2 DNFs in Latvia through no fault of his own, mechanicals and that tyre issue that he had. Just got himself ridden out off the track. He was ridden off the park, I should say, in the Czech Republic in the second moto. Didn't really have anything for Hurlings, but he's going to want to come here and be on form, isn't he, and be on song. I
think Tommy's in one of those nice positions at the minute. The shackles could be off, because he's quite a way behind now, certainly not where he wanted to be. So nobody's really expecting him. As much as we're wishing him to claw back that gap, nobody's expecting it. So I think he can just go that little bit of pressure off as the championship pressure's off. And Tommy always rises and reacts to the occasion, to a British crowd. He just does. I think, I'm not saying Hurlings won't run him, but he's going to have to work extra hard to beat Tommy this weekend. That's my personal take on it. I think Tommy is completely dialed in already this weekend. He looks completely up for it.
Well, the MX2 qualifying race will be live this afternoon at 3:25, and that'll be pretty much immediately followed by the MX1 qualifying race. So if you want to see how the qualifying race goes and see what the benchmark is for tomorrow in the MX1 and MX2 World Championship races proper, then stay tuned. And we'll hope you're enjoying the coverage here as well of the 85cc European Championship with David Puches and David Herbertro leading the way. That's Herbertro here on the Bud Rockstar Racing Kawasaki to give him his team title. There's the Rockstar Energy Suzuki, the 481 of Brian Hsu, the rider from Thailand. So he's having a good ride, isn't he, this kid here? Not sure if he lives in Thailand full-time or if he's now started to base himself in Europe.
It's a long way to come every time. So,
but actually, you know what? There's the FIM Junior World Championship next week in Sarajevo, Bulgaria as well. So maybe he's over here for that. So, you know, maybe took in the Olympics and then maybe didn't happen too far away. Did you go and see any of the Olympics?
I didn't. No, I was an armchair fanatic.
It was good, wasn't it?
It was great. It was really good. Yeah.
I mean, not just from a British point of view, but there were a lot of moments, and I thought it was covered well. I thought the organisation it looked pretty fantastic, and I hope everybody who went there experienced the same thing. But
I'd like to think so. It really I felt it really put sort of Great Britain, you know, put the kind of great back into Great Britain, really. So hopefully we can continue that trend this weekend. That would be great if we carry on that vibe, and Tommy is still on top of that box come Sunday evening.
Well, just over a lap to go, which is almost 9 seconds clear of this guy here in the red, David Herbertro. He's your third place rider, 81, Brian Hsu. Lap times, well, Herbertro was marginally quicker that time around, but not going to do any damage really. Conrad Muse, dropping down the order to 12th position, so we can only assume, as we said, you know, going from the lead, maybe over-jump something pretty easy to do. Maybe jarred an ankle, a knee, or a wrist, or something like that, or maybe something mechanical. Maybe he's got like a splutter on the bike, and the confidence then, you know, when you know you're not running on full power, you don't want to attempt these big jumps, do you, Jeff Perritt?
You have to be committed, you know, and if there's any doubt in your mind that something's going to go wrong, that's when it does go wrong. So I don't blame Conrad for that. I mean, as much as he wants to perform in front of his home crowd, throwing it down the track and knocking himself Sparko is not the way forward. So I'll try and catch up with Conrad between after this event and find out after this race and see what the diagnosis is of the problem, really. Hopefully it's a bike issue and not an injury.
Yeah. And obviously in a similar way then that you just mentioned Tommy Searle from MX2, the shackles being off, maybe just go out and just dominate in the second race, and obviously that will just cap off the weekend, knowing that he can come here and dominate, and obviously that'll, like I say, put him in a good mood anyway.
It's a gutter for him because you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but it looked like he had this race under control and in the bag. You know, he looked pretty. It didn't look like he was riding beyond his comfort zone, and he was pulling away. So it's a real shame for Conrad, but he'll bounce back. He's that kind of kid.
Well, there's your race leader, David Puches from the Netherlands. A lot of people had him penned down for the win anyway, but I don't think they really saw Conrad Muse as being a threat, because obviously he doesn't really spend a lot of time in Europe, does he?
That's right. So his first year doing the championship, and I think Davy's a couple of years older than Conrad as well, and Herbertro in second as well.
Yeah,
so
14.
Conrad's, they're a little bit older. So Conrad's got time. You know, that's the point. If he's already running near the front and he's a couple of years younger, that's a great sign for British motocross.
I wonder if he'll. In fact, I saw the entry list the other day. I don't recall seeing his name on the entry list for the World Championship in Bulgaria. I don't know if there's any other event on in the UK. Is it next week that would prevent him from going to that?
To be fair, he hasn't been riding that often in the UK this year. He's decided to go over and race a lot in Holland and kind of master the sand and get better in that. So he's already looking long term. Obviously, he's done him a world of good. I mean, Conrad was pretty much won nationals the minute he arrived on the scene in the 65s, and then when he first went on to the 85s. But you know, then jumped up early to the big wheel, and I think looking at the bigger picture, that's what obviously him, his family, and everybody around him thinks is best for his development. So we haven't seen so much of Conrad this year in the UK, but obviously we're fully aware of what his results are and how he's doing. So it seems to be working.
So up the hill for the final time then, 4:46 of the Netherlands, David Puches. Just 2 corners to go before he takes a checkered flag and victory here in Moto number 1 in the 85cc European Championship race. It's a shootout for the best guys in Europe. He does take the checkered flag. He lights the candles. He jumps a little bit short on the finish line jump, but he won't care about that. He's halfway to being crowned European champion. David Herberto comes over the line in second, and he's closely followed over by Brian Hsu of Thailand there, number 481. Waiting for Jorge Prado to come over the line in fourth, but he was in a bit of a battle with Thomas Silieka. Those two, we're waiting for those to come through any moment now. And we've just been informed that, Jeff, you been informed.
Yeah, I've just been informed by Tim Evans. Shout out to Tim. Bit of research for us. Nice one, Tim. Brian actually lives in Italy and races under a German license, so that's where he's basing himself over here while he's over here. So looks like he, again, you know, young age coming over, looking for the future. Of course, maybe not as young as that, but a lot of those South African riders, Tyler Rattray, Bentham, they all moved, left home, the other side of the world early, and came over, and it obviously worked for them. So,
and there's your winner, Davy Peaches. 25 minutes, that's a pretty long moto, isn't it?
Long moto, yeah.
And David Herberto there on the right, second position. He looks all right. They don't look too flustered, do they? They've got another moto tomorrow, so they have time to recover.
Cool. They're cooler than what I am, and so they're just cool. They're kids. They're meant to look like that.
Have you had time? Have you had time to?
I've been red as a beetroot coming off that.
Have you had time to walk around and talk to any of these kids, or are you maybe going to make a point of doing that for your little issue?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm going to make the issue of catching up with them today. Conrad, we're obviously producing a video edit this weekend, and we're going to focus on Conrad a little bit, try and mix him in with what we're doing with Tommy and everybody else. So hopefully we'll catch up with Conrad and get his take on it on video.
Well, the scorer there again going out. Well, he's 20th at the moment. That's because he's been on the deck for the last few seconds with the number 97 who went.
They're being quite amicable. It's obviously the testosterone hasn't kicked in yet. They're not swinging at each other.
Language barrier.
Yeah, maybe, maybe.
So, yeah, anyway, so the flag falls then on 85cc European Championship Race 1. David Puchis, David Herberto, Brian Hsu and Jorge Prado with Thomas Silieka down in 5th. Then it's your favourite name there, Jeff, the 488.
Yeah, look at that.
Thilo Wicklerbaumer of Germany. So not a bad ride for him. Lorenzo Camporese just after him in 7th position. Then it was Christus Dreveniskis down in 8th. Tomas Ragadini 9th and Adrian Malayel in 10th. You're going to point out something.
No, I really wouldn't want your permanent job. These names are a nightmare. Look at this, the guy in 16th. Have a stab at that one.
Oh, I've had a stab at that. That's why he's still down there in 16th, going unmentioned. The 599 of Simon Staskiewicz.
Right, Simon sells seashells on the seafloor. Yeah.
Staskiewicz from Poland. So, anyway, here's the official classification then. David Puchis, your winner by 7.6 seconds over David Herberto. Brian Hsu was down in 3rd, then Jorge Prado 4th, Thomas Silieka 5th. Then we had Wicklerbaumer in 6th. Camporese was 7th, Christus Dreveniskis was 8th, Tomas Ragadini was 9th, Adrian Malavel was 10th. Ivan Petrov, Bas Weissen, Conrad Muse 13th in the end, disappointment for him. Alessandro Lentini, Cyril Guénaud. Then we had Simon Staskiewicz, Nicola Lapucci. Then we had the 644 of Carl Robert Renike, Miro Sierhoven and Pavel Repchak down in 20th place. Getting ready to go speak to our winner, Davy Puchis. Here he is.
Davy, you're one of the favourites to win this weekend, and that was a great job on that first race. Are you happy?
Yes, I'm very happy with the first race. I was second in the start and I came back to first. And yeah, I win the motor with 10 seconds, so it's very good.
Well done, and we'll see you again later.
Okay.
And a rider from the Netherlands winning on a hard-packed circuit a million miles away from the sands.
Who does that remind you of?
But a good ride for David Puchis, picking up victory here in the first moto, as he said there, 10 seconds or thereabouts over David Herberto. So he's got the second race to look forward to tomorrow. And it'll be interesting to see whether he does pick up the race win or whether the unlucky Conrad Mewse, whatever that problem is, whether he'll come out all guns blazing and looking to pick up his own race win tomorrow. But these kids are awesome. David Overtow was second, the Bud Rockstar Racing Kawasaki rider. And he's also down there waiting to speak to Amy Dargan. Doesn't speak great English, speaks a little bit. Probably we'll get a broken English interview here, but here he is. Let's hear what he has to say.
David, great job on that first race. Are you happy with that result?
Je suis satisfait de ma première manche, mais de ma deuxième place. Maintenant, reste à étudier le terrain et rendez-vous demain pour la deuxième manche et en essayant d'avoir le titre.
He's very satisfied with that first race. He just needs to now stay focused for the second race.
Well, he speaks French really well.
He speaks exceptionally good French, yeah.
But David Overtow, another rider, put himself in a good position to walk away with the overall if he gets a good race result tomorrow. Jeff Perry, just briefly summarise these 85 kids.
In a word, I think they're incredibly talented, and it's just an absolute pleasure to have them here, I think. I think it really sets the tone for the entire weekend. They're brilliant to watch. They put it all on the line. And they are the future right there. You know, we will be talking about these in about 5-6 years' time.
Here's Brian Hsu.
Brian, another great job. Are you very excited to be racing here this weekend with the GP riders?
Yeah, the track is very, very good and tough. So I never had this track in the race. Try my best and have a clean ride. So I'm very happy to be a third place.
Well done. We'll see you for second race.
Thank you.
Nice kid. Third in a race. Great English.
His English is certainly better than my Thai, I can tell you that.
But again, another rider had a bad qualifying yesterday. He had that crash, but bounces back here with a great third position in this race. And yeah, he's going to be another rider. Looking forward to the second race tomorrow. And I tell you what would be the best scenario, wouldn't it? Jeff Perrett, Conrad Mewse, Brian Hsu, David Overtow, Jorge Prado, and our race winner, of course, Davy Puches, getting out there and going for it right from the get-go.
Yeah, with Conrad at the back of that bunch and then working his way through to the front. That's what we want.
Well, here's what happened in the 85cc European. Race 1 was a great start for Conrad Mewse, about 10 gates over that flash of yellow look. Gave himself a massive amount of room going into that first corner. Davy Puches was with him and David Overtow as well. Jorge Prado and the Latvian kid, whose name escapes me at the moment, Tommaso. They were going at it for 4th and 5th, but eventually that was the battle for the lead, and Conrad Mewse just had absolutely nothing in reply. Prado was still battling for that 4th position, but in the end, it was this guy here, 261, who found himself, Prado, being outdone there and lost that 4th place. But this kid here, 446, Davy Puches, rounded out the final turn, took the checkered flag, and victory in moto number 1. He leads the European Championship after 1 race. David Overtow 2nd, and Brian Hsu is 3rd. Well, Jeff Perrett, thanks for joining us here. Maybe we'll catch up with you again at some point during the weekend.
Yeah,
obviously, we've got a lot of action here in this motocross festival. Yeah, so far so good. 2 races down, 65 and 85.
It's not raining. That's the main thing.
Exactly. Well, our next action on MX Live TV is going to be our live studio show at 1 o'clock. We'll see you there in just a moment. My name's Ben Whalen. Thanks for watching. We'll see you a little bit later on this afternoon.